I think, first of all, it's a matter of thinking that the world or the universe or our circumstances are doing something for us, not doing something despite us. So I've always believed that everything has a reason and a purpose, and if I can explore what that is, then it shifts me from feeling like a victim and puts me in the driver's seat of my own experience.
This guest is Kath Essing, an author, poet, and fierce advocate for truth-telling. Her voice carries the weight of lived experience and the grace of someone who's done the hard work of healing. She's here not just to share a story, but a quote that helped her reclaim her voice. I may just help you find yours. Tell us your name and what's your favorite quote.
My name is Kath Essing, and my favorite quote is, "Things turn out the best for the people who make the best of the way things turn out."
Can you say that again?
Things turn out the best for people who make the best of the way things turn out.
Oh, things turn out the best for the people who make the best of the way things turn out.
Correct.
Wow. I feel like I understand what it means, but could you explain it for me?
I don't believe we can control what happens in our lives. We can influence what happens in our lives, but what we can control is our response to it. So when and if something happens that's against our plan, then we need to ensure that we have the resilience and the mindset to make the best of that situation.
Okay. Okay. So we could either say, oh, the thing is terrible, or we could either ask ourselves, how can I make the most of it? Or we could complain about the situation.
Yeah, and how can I, in some cases, how can I use it as a catalyst to give back to the world? How
Yeah.
can I
How can I
teach?
use,
Mm,
how can I use it as a stepping stone to the next phase of my life?
absolutely.
Yeah. I'm curious, is this your quote or is this the quote of someone else?
It's the quote of someone else. I don't actually know who. I'll look it up for you. But
Okay.
it's just the one that's really resonated with me. In terms of my own quote, I I guess one thing that I say a lot is, that the healing doesn't come from speaking up. The healing comes from being heard. So
Mm,
that
mm.
is my quote.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm kind of waiting for. I think it appears you're searching something.
Pardon me?
I said it appears you're searching for something on your laptop.
I want to find where the origin of that first quote came from for you. So I was just going to
Okay,
look.
I
Oh,
was kind of confused why you. I thought this. Okay, you're not. Are you not looking at your laptop right now?
yes.
But when you said like you had to you were looking that other way to search for the thing. So
I was
I'm
working on
trying to
looking
like.
at my phone. So I
Okay.
was just going
So
to
I was
do
like, I
that.
was
So I
trying
can.
to like to connect the dots. I was like, what's going on here?
Okay.
Is she using a webcam or like I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you share with us instances um usually 2 to 3 instances in your life when things didn't turn out the way you wanted it to, but you um kind of made use of what happened for your own good and yeah.
The first scenario that comes to mind would be when I was a teenager and there was a girl who beat me 2 years in a row when I was competing against her for school for swimming. And I really wanted to beat her. So instead of going back the third year and being beaten, I started training every day. And so, although something was out of my control, I gave it the best chance I could of working hard to ensure that I gave myself the best chance of beating her. And the ironic thing was that that first instant of feeling not good enough led to me well and truly surpassing her talent and skill. So it set me on a trajectory of a beautiful group of peers in my adult life and in my teenage life, and gave me a skill that has been formidable forever in terms of my own healing and relationship with myself and my body going through a really complex time in my life.
Yeah. Okay. 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 I mean,
Next, I would say
we're starting strong. We're starting strong. Starting strong. Okay. The next one.
the next one is I have two children. The first child we conceived fairly easily, um, and after she was born, we had 4 pregnancy losses, so we had 4 miscarriages. And
Oh, so sorry.
thank you. So when I had the third miscarriage, I just decided that I couldn't live another 9 months just waiting for a date to pass. So I decided I wanted to use that time to birth something else in the world if it wasn't going to be a child. And that's when I decided to write my first book and set my due date as the date in which it would be published.
Yeah. Wow. 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 Hmm. Okay. 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 Oliver asks for more. One more.
The next would be that I finally, after 23 years, went to police about my childhood abuse. And although the investigation went for 18 months and I didn't have enough evidence to proceed to trial, the journey itself was a personal victory. And I chose, because I never got the chance to speak my truth in court, that's when I chose to write this book. And so I guess at the end of the day, although justice hasn't been served from a legal perspective, I feel poetic justice has been served from a healing perspective.
So what you're saying now is writing the book was a way for you to get the burden off your shoulder, and it's
Yes,
kind of like healed you. Yeah, that's the word, healed you. So the process of writing the book, just um collecting the stories and all the process of writing everything down and eventually releasing the book helped you. The book itself worked on you as much as you were working on the book.
and absolutely, and now it's healing others.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a strange thing that uh how do I say this now? It's more like you're doing one thing, but you end up doing two things. And yeah, you healed yourself, and now it's helping others, which
Yeah.
is really nice because now you have two benefits from writing the book.
Absolutely, and that it's helping other people speak up about what's happening to them and having a beautiful flow-on effect for um, people who are supporting survivors themselves and haven't been able to understand their husband or wife or sister or brother's journey, and it's become a catalyst or and an opportunity to fill a knowledge gap between the survivor and the people supporting them.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing those three stories. Thank you so much, Kat. I know some of them were really very personal, and yeah, I'm glad you were kind enough to share that to illustrate the quotes you shared with us earlier on.
Thank you.
Now,
I really appreciate this time. I'll find
yeah.
out who wrote that quote for you. I'm going to look that up now.
Okay, 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 you can,
Okay.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. I'll look it up while it'll be here somewhere.
Okay. What was I going to say? Okay. Let me allow you to look it up so that I don't get to say something that would actually be part of the episode, so I can actually cut it out when I want to edit.
Things. It says it's John Wooden is who
Okay.
made that quote. Yeah,
Okay.
things work out best for those who make the best of how things work out.
Is John Wooden a poet? That name sounds
Yeah,
like one of those poets I've heard before.
yeah. I don't know who. I'll look up who he is, but
Okay. John
yeah,
Wooden. Yeah.
got John Wooden. Yeah.
Okay. Um. Now the quote you gave to us is, I would say, it's two parts, right? Things work out for those. My God, why did I forget it? Things work out for those.
Who
Please help
make
me
the
out
best
here.
of the way. Yeah, things work out for those who make the best of the way things work out.
Okay, things work out for those who make the best of the way things work out. I mean, the question now is, how do we go about making the best of how things work out? Is there like an approach? Is there a framework? how do you do it? You shared instances of three scenarios. How do you know that you're making the best of something, or if you're just making the worst of something?
I think, first of all, it's a matter of thinking that the world or the universe or our circumstances are doing something for us, not doing something despite us. So I've always believed that everything has a reason and a purpose. And if I can explore what that is, then it shifts me from feeling like a victim and and puts me in the driver's seat of my own experience.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. So what you're saying is a matter of perspective, a thing of questioning that, okay, um this situation isn't necessarily meant against this was meant for me. How do I see that, and what is that thing I'm supposed to be doing to make the most out of it? Wow. Okay. Now,
So I think this way even when I get sick. I think it's my body's way of telling me I'm tired. And
okay.
so I don't I just have this mindset and perspective for everything.
Okay. 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 I mean, yeah, it's a body way of telling us that you're tired. It's a sign. Yeah, I like that. um I want us to go back a bit, right, to one of those stories you shared. You When you had that miscarriage, you thought of the idea of writing your book, so that such that eventually, like, when the book will eventually go live, it will be on the due date. Where did that thought come from?
Well, I guess it was like I felt like that there was a period of time I'd already dedicated to birthing something, and obviously initially that was a baby, and then it occurred to me that I then had this time now that I wasn't building a new human, so maybe there was something else that I could build instead. And I'd always wanted to write a book. And at the time, I had a coaching program um, and was coaching a lot of small business women. And so I used that program as a framework for writing the book. And it was a perfect way to utilize the time and energy that would have otherwise been put into adding to our family. And instead, I used that time to add um, to my business.
Yeah. Um, would you say that this is a quote that can be subject to misinterpretation?
Yeah, but look, I guess again, that's a matter of perspective, isn't it? Um, if you choose to look at the world from the perspective that some people are better off than others, and I think that there is absolutely an imbalance in the world. But regardless of what happens, two different people can get unwell and have two very different interpretations of what that looks like. And um, and as a result, their experience is vastly different navigating that. So there's a story about two men who were twins, and one was a severe alcoholic, and he had someone ask him why he drank so much. And he said, well, isn't it obvious? It's because my dad was an alcoholic. And then his twin was interviewed, and someone asked him why he was so successful in life and why he'd chosen never to drink. And his response to that was, well, isn't it obvious? My dad was an alcoholic. So it's all about how we choose to frame our experiences and what we make them mean.
Yeah, I love that story you shared. Like, perfectly paints the picture of how we can make things work for us to be our own benefit, or we can say because of the situation, he makes the worst of it. I mean, it's easy to say, oh, things are working out for him because he has it all figured out. His parents were rich, wealthy, they were good standing in society and everything. That's why he turned out to be a good kid. I mean, it's easy to say that, but then father was an alcoholic and all that, and he vowed that in his life that he was never going to be like his dad, and eventually he became yeah, successful man in society. Well, Thank you so much for sharing that story.
You're welcome.
Uh,
And look, there is absolutely, like, as a disclaimer to that, do I believe there's an imbalance in the world? Yes. Do I believe there's, racism and discrimination and bias and sexism? There is. But again, if we don't choose to fight against those trains of thought and we choose to surrender to them, then nothing will ever change.
yeah, yeah. I guess the question now is how far have you like known this quote?
I feel like it's come to me, maybe in my 20s when I started remembering my own childhood abuse, and I felt like a victim of that circumstance. I felt angry and I felt like I, was being traumatized all over again. And I had to fight my way out of that thinking. I had to figure out, like, and decide what it all meant. And I realized that I could remain angry and I could remain hurt, but that was not going to change the experience for my abuser. Um, and, again, there's a beautiful quote by the Buddha that is, I could remain angry, but it's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well,
yeah.
you can go ahead. Yeah, it's the
um,
start of the show. You can go ahead. Please do.
so, so that, there's so many ways of experiencing our own internal world, but the truth is, no one else is going to be impacted directly by our thoughts more than we are ourselves.
Yeah, it's a good thing you mentioned disclaimer. It's like, oh yeah, yeah. There are videos I watch on YouTube where they are like teaching you how to build a business and stuff like that. And usually for the big YouTubers, they before they start the video, they post this is not a financial advice. And the many stuff. The note, please note, anything said it's our own opinion, nothing and nothing. See your financial advisor before you
Yeah.
make any financial decisions. And yeah, I feel like every code has a disclaimer that people need to know because it's easy to read, to misread things, right? Um, how do you this is a code that has really influenced your life. It has affected, it has kind of like gotten you through major decisions and major points in your life, especially when like especially during that period when you were having those miscarriages. I know that was like a really dark period, and the quote kind of helps you. So for me, the question I want to ask now is you remind yourself, how do you remind yourself, because how do I say this now? There's so many distractions in the world, so many things happening, and sometimes in the heat of the moment, like at that point in time when it's the tension, everything is just so happening. You so many thoughts are running through your head. How do you remind yourself that things work out for those who make the best of the way things work?
Well, your podcast is called Relatable Wisdom, and I think one of the most relatable tools that we have is the capacity to breathe and to take a breath and take a
Yeah,
moment. And it's we all have that as a tool on offer. And so I take moments where I take a breath and I shut out the noise, and I guess I hear that perspective, whether it's from that quote or um, just taking an opportunity to silence the noise that's everyone else's. It's, what's
yeah,
on the Instagram, what's on the news, what do my children need, what does my husband need, and I don't listen to the thoughts. I don't listen to all the thoughts, and so that's how I do it. I don't. I know now that my thoughts aren't real, that they're all coming from somewhere, and that there's absolutely a truth within me that I can hear when I sit quietly enough.
okay. Well, the reason I needed to ask is, you know, when everything is going well, right? It's easy to like look at those quotes and say, "Oh yeah, this stuff, yeah." And but sometimes at the heat of the moment, the voices, the tension, and everything, like it's. I know you understand what I'm saying. Like it's a lot. The heart is beating. So many things are going through the mind and everything. And the reminder, right? These things, we know these things, but we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. We need, during those dark periods, we need this reminder. And you said, we have to like take a pause, and breathe. And and I know I'm pushing it, but for sometimes, even to remember to take a breath
Mhm.
is a big deal, like a really
Yeah.
big.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think that's where, like, having a scheduled time in your diary to do it. So when you're sitting in your wisdom and you know that you've got a really busy week ahead, to maybe even schedule a moment every day at 8 o'clock or when you first wake up, just to ask yourself, like, what is, the thing I can do today that will serve me the best. And, maybe that's working really hard or writing a to-do list, or maybe it is resting or going for a walk or whatever it is. But I think if we choose to ask that question, then that will allow the pause to be more accessible than if we don't.
Yeah, thank you so much for recommending that. I mean, I do believe that, if you say something is important to you, you should reflect in your time and in your bank statement. Right now, I'm going to stick with the time aspect, for this example, which is if I say that, oh, um, uh, I reflecting, meditating, thinking, no, not worrying or thinking, but reviewing, and a lot of persons say we learn from experience. But if you ask someone what's the latest lesson you've learned from experience, they're like, because we experience stuff, so we don't even we don't even take out the time to say, okay, what did I learn from that experience? Okay, what are the lessons I had from the experience? The that even leads to another problem, which is sometimes people learn the wrong lessons from from the experience, right? They take the wrong lessons. I'll give an example. Let's say, okay, what example now? Yeah, making the best out of something. Sometimes you need to get the right lesson, and you need to. Okay, I'll give an example. Let's say I started a podcast, right? And I tried to get guests to come on the podcast. And let's say the first three or the first four guests I try to book on the podcast, they have um terrible online etiquette. They don't show up, and even when they cancel, they don't even let me know. I wait, and five episodes. I'm like, and let's say that all the five guests they happen to be from one part of United States, let's say California, right? Now, now what is going to happen? The lesson I could learn is anytime I see any potential guest that I ask them, where are you from? I'm from California. Nah, 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 nah. Don't worry, no, don't bother. I'm like, no, people from California, they don't show up from interview, they're not this, they're not that. And now that's the experience I had, right? The experience itself was valid, but the lesson I'm learning is the wrong lesson. And that is, yeah, it's the wrong, because sometimes we have experience, and when we learn the wrong lesson from life, that, oh, this, and that wrong lesson ends up working against us instead of working for.
I think that's a perfect example. And in fact, what I hear in that example is that you're still giving your power away to outside circumstances. So maybe that's the
Yeah.
defining difference. So as an example, as a guest on podcasts, I had a similar situation where I would be ready and waiting, and the hosts would not turn up. And so instead of thinking, wow, it's their fault, I asked myself, what can I do to ensure that I'm attracting legitimate podcasts that I'm on?
Boosts that are serious. Yeah.
And what am I doing to ensure that, like, what do I need to look for to make sure that it's not wasting my time? And so I think I don't blame other people. I still think I had a part in that choice. And so that's the part that I can choose to focus on.
Yeah. Well, what you just mentioned so far is making the best of how things work. You have to learn the right lesson, which I said earlier on, and then from what you said, you have to believe and know that you have the power. Like you have, like, you can do something, that you're not powerless. Like there's people that believe that, oh, there's nothing I can do. What happens happens. There's absolutely nothing. We just have to like go with the flow.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so wow. Thank you so much. Wow, for sharing this quote and sharing your stories with us on this episode. It's been 30 minutes and wow, this conversation has been really, really insightful.
Likewise, I really am grateful for your time and and thank you for hearing my story.
Yeah, it's something usually every time I'm having conversation with guests, I'm wishing that why this show it should probably an hour or probably 2 hours, but it's a daily show, so it has to be like so that people can easily consume it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Where can listen? You did mention that you're a coach and you've written a book. Can you just like tell us the name of the book, where listeners can learn more about what you do and kind of like check out your projects and the things?
My book is called The Courage to Speak Your Truth, Shifting the Narrative on Childhood Sexual Abuse. And you can purchase that on Amazon. And my business is called Bespeak. Um, so you can find that on the web. It's www.bespeak.au.
You didn't mention what you.
I'm an author and a speaker and an educator. So I run coaching programs for individuals who want to reclaim their voice.
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much. Please um, search for our book on Amazon and visit our website and just check out what she does. Yeah. Thank you so much, Kat, for coming on the podcast and for sharing your.
Thank you. Really appreciate your
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Quickly, I just want to ask. Thanks for listening to Relatable Wisdom. If today's story moved you, share it with someone who needs it and leave us a quick review. It really helps. Want more behind the scenes, insights, and extra wisdom from our guests? Join the free newsletter at relatablewisdom.com/join to stay connected. Don't forget to subscribe to the show. And until next time, stay curious, stay grounded, and keep growing.